Hey guys, welcome to the show. Today we're going to talk about decentralization in gaming, in the community, in the world at whole. So we have a lot to discuss. So get ready, headset, go. Welcome back to the show, guys. I'm Tony Hanson, joined by Rob Sprance. And today we're talking about decentralization. Decentralization so far is coming hand to hand with cryptocurrency, and cryptocurrency is bringing forth games based on cryptocurrency and the metaverse. So we're now talking about decentralization in a major way, and it's all about what people think is good or bad. I mean, for the most part, decentralization is great because no one can control and stop you from being a part of something. No one can take over something. No one can dominate the floor. And also you have these companies, that are out there that are mega giants that have control, but they're the ones that have the power and the ability to make things happen probably in a simpler way. So yes, of course, we want decentralization. We're probably always going to vote for decentralization, but sometimes you can't help but feed the giant. So Rob, where do you stand on all this?
Yeah, well, the giant, so to speak, also has its benefits because it does make things more convenient. It is, they would have the ability to give a user everything they want in one place. So why would they not want to go somewhere else? Why would they want to not be focused on one specific, be it platform or social site or metaverse when the time comes and all of these other things. We just did a metagaming showcase, and when we stopped, we talked about how they're doing everything they can to boost VR, but it's amazing, but they're also doing it for a reason. They're not just doing it because they're excited and love all of us. They're doing it because they want to have it all for themselves. So they want it to be your one-stop shop. Now, there's all of these different, there's TikTok, there's Instagram, there's Facebook, there's, and even, Instagram and Meta and Facebook are all one, and we think of them as two different apps because that's how they started, but it's one and the same. It's the same company. Yeah. So, we were talking before we went on that, I had an issue with our Facebook page for my other podcast, the whole podcast, where I just do interviews that I've been having that show. I've had that show for 11, 12 years now. And I've built up a fan base on that page, and I post the episodes, and I also use it to advertise. Every time I put a new episode up, I pay to advertise the episode. It's one of the features they allow you to do. However, someone reported as us pretending to be someone else, and I know that it had to be something malicious, because why would you pick just the first option that you can to try to shut it down? When it happened, I got a notice that says your page has been removed. It is no longer published. It gave you no recourse to bring it back up. It gave me no easy links or a text box to say, hey, here's my case.
Right.
As to why I'm not pretending to be someone else. And it just was down. And I did tons of searches about other people who've had this issue. And most of the time you see somebody's Facebook actual page get shut, like their own personal page. But a business page that I have spent, and this is not an exaggeration, over the years, about $15,000 in ad money over all of that time. And now all of a sudden, I'm impersonating someone else, right? So,
yeah. So let's bring that forward. What happens when you talk about, let's say that you want to have the experience where you're going on whether it's Meta, whether it's another platform you can imagine. We see in the news right now, Elon Musk is trying to get 100% stake of Twitter. He's battling back and forth between a lot of powerful people in there. And let's say that we're talking about a social media platform that you go hang out with your friends. And then you also start, maybe you're buying groceries there. Maybe you're in the future of the metaverse of VR, you're buying your stuff in through that same platform. And let's say that platform becomes integral to your life. Now, what happens when you're penalized, when you're punished? Like you just said, you Facebook jail, back in the day, it's like, oh, Facebook jail, they laugh about it. Some people almost wear it like a badge of honor, but what happens when Facebook jail means a lot more than that? And then your first thought is you might say, no, they won't do that. It's too much. They'll probably set things. But how much power is that?
Yeah.
So yes, a company like Facebook or Twitter or everybody else can release products. They can get it out there. They have more knowledge about what people want. So it's almost always going to be, it's like fast food in a sense. Like they know what you want. It's going to come at you in a correct way. It's likely that you'll be seduced by it. You'll enjoy yourself. But if it turns around where it wants to go a way that you don't like, or is against you, or you're going to suffer, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, and I'll even add to that. The Quest 2 requires a Facebook account to get it started, right? So when you first start, when I got the Quest 1, it was still an Oculus product, although they did already own it, but it was still an Oculus product. And I signed up with my own email. But I did eventually connect it to Facebook because I wanted the social features of it, right? So, hey, this is great. I'll see when Tony's online. I'll see when Richie's online, whatever it may be. But that's all happening through Facebook. If your account gets banned, you can't use your headset that you paid for, and you can't play the games that you paid for. So there are plenty of people, and look it up, that are complaining that their Facebook account got banned, and because as a result, they cannot use their headset. And they open some support. You have to open a support ticket and do all of this other stuff. Now, they came out a year ago and said, as of, pretty soon, you will no longer need a Facebook account to use it. And everyone cheered. Still hasn't been done. It just went away. They haven't mentioned it again.
Right.
They made everybody quiet so they would all go out and buy it and feel like, okay, I'll eventually be able to move it over. But imagine you buy this for yourself or for your kid, and your Facebook account gets banned because you just insulted somebody or you made a comment or something like that, and
Right.
whatever it may be, or someone just says you're someone else even though you're not. You can't use the headset you paid for.
And that opens up a larger conversation, like with everything that's been happening with YouTube, the censorship from YouTube, from Facebook, the revelations about what Facebook was actually, how they were targeting people, and how they were feeding people. They would see they were more prone to this, they're to give them this kind of stuff. And it tells you that we need to have a real big conversation, a very serious one, about how we go forward, because I think the VR metaverse experience is not just gaming, and I believe you think this too. It's going to be how the world functions in a large way. And, it is important how we proceed, because we get this wrong, it's going to be bad. It's going to be one of those dystopian futuristic society movies that we don't want to live in.
Yeah,
So
there you have this is pyramid, Tony. Like, I'm let's say this new indie company comes out and they build their own metaverse to keep things decentralized, and everyone loves it because it's for the community.
Right.
Eventually, someone is either going to buy it and make it part of their own and tell everyone, no, we're going to keep it exactly as it is because I know you all love it. And then eventually it will become eaten up just like everything else is. Or B, they become so huge in popularity that they then become the next thing that you want to decentralize from. It's this vicious cycle, man.
So let's look at the other side of it then, which brings up a good topic. Let's talk about the decentralized side of it, and I'll cite it through example. In Decentraland, I own land there, a modest little plot, and in that world, the way things happen is it's voted on by the owners of the world, which is many owners, and things will come up and they can vote on it. What do you want it to happen? Do you want this to change? We're thinking about doing this. What do you want to do? So there was a bid to open up the world and allow more people to buy plots, because some people are like, let's get this bigger. Let's get it growing. Let's get more people involved. And a lot of people at this time, when I was looking at it, just shut it down because they didn't want to grow it. So which means that some people are, if you're not in the clique, if you're not in the majority of that group, then you're going to feel powerless. So that's probably the other side of the experience in the decentralized experience, because you don't have, it's almost like with a brand, a very powerful brand, They come in and say, "This is what we are. This is what it is. You see what we're doing." And sometimes you do. You want one person in charge of the ship, and that's what you get with the mega brand, the giant. It's one person, it's one entity moving forward, and they're doing this, and that's it. And you can follow or don't, do them or don't. And you're in a decentralized part. If you fall into that minority, then you're going to suffer that way. You're going to feel like that you have no voice, or your voice doesn't matter unless you group enough people to kind of fight back. So there's goods and bads about everything else. I mean, I would still say, without a doubt, decentralization will always be better. But it's, again, really careful how we go forward and we make it so that everyone can have a say, move to the experience they want to move, not be trapped by anybody, and you can't be blocked. There can't be any gatekeepers.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, pick your poison, right? So you want
Right.
to, we all know everything that Amazon does to their employees, what it puts their warehouse workers through, what it puts everything through. But you know what? I still order from Amazon because it's easy, because it's fast, because
Right.
it's usually the cheapest. So I've learned one thing about, I'm not even going to say this country. I learned one thing about humanity.
Yeah.
People are willing to sacrifice to the greater good to a point. If COVID hasn't taught us that, nothing will. If there was one time where the whole world needed to come together for a little while at least, that would have been it. And it didn't.
I
So,
think, God, yeah.
so people aren't going to all get together and go, you know what? I'll gladly drive to the hardware store and pay $42 for a hammer now, or the mom and pop store, instead of going to Home Depot and getting one for $10, or just clicking my card and tomorrow it's sitting on my stoop. That's going to be something that you can't get around. Apple, look, I'm a big fan of Apple. I'm a big fan of Apple because of their privacy policies, their security policies.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
only company that when you open an app, it says, do you even want this app to report anything? And you can just say no. You can actually go into your settings and tell it no apps can have any of your data. No other company does that. But Apple has their own app store. You want an app for your iPhone, you go through the Apple App Store. Period. Forget about jailbreak. Forget about these workarounds and these web apps.
Right.
You
Right.
you have to go through them. And this doesn't just go for us as users. This goes for developers too. So they want a huge cut of your money to do it, more so than some others would take. So
Right.
it's 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 crazy how we think of it as all of these little apps and all of these little programs and all of these little places, but at the end of the day, it's that pyramid where there's really only a couple of giants running all of this. So even if you buy the coolest indie social media app, right? Okay, this is great. It's not owned by Facebook. Forget it. We're going there. You're going through Apple to buy it, or you're going through Google to buy it, right? So you're buying the app and you're signing up. What do you want to do? You want to put in your own username and password? No, I'll use the Apple sign on, or sign in with Google, or sign in with Amazon. And just like that, you've got two giants linked in just for you to get into an app. And we all do the sign in with Amazon or the sign in with Google because it's easy and it's easy to remember. But now they've got a piece of that too. So as by the time you actually get into the app, you've already gone through multiple behemoths to get there.
I guess the end of the day, like, I'm listening to you and you're speaking, and all I'm thinking is like, the end of the day, we're talking about control. So it's like, so you have 10 companies, and so like you said, like, you're happy for the mom and pop store, you're happy for the little guy, and then the little guy gets bigger. Like Netflix was, it was almost laughable when they first started. You were like, oh, their movies are kind of terrible. It's movies you don't care about. And my friend was getting movies sent to him, and I was like, I don't really need this. And then it was on the internet, it was digital, and I thought it was more practical, but I was still like, I don't really need it. And then they come bigger and bigger and bigger. And now when they have so much influence, then you start looking at them and say, well, how much power do they have? They have almost too much power, because literally they could take something that's garbage, put it on the front page, and you have the Netflix, effect, where it's just going to go through the roof, and it's number one in the world now. And they're telling you it's number one in the world. They have the hype to do so. Therefore, the hype begins, and it's only created because it's put in that one spot. Same thing with the band on the radio. If a band goes on the radio, you instantly accept the band as being, they made it to some point. You don't think about how they got there. Did they have like a large budget to get there? Were they just a chosen person from the label? Did did Sony just say we want to make these people up there? You don't think about any of that. You just
Yep.
hear the song and then you go, these are the next people that are big. And do I like it? Do I hate it? And it's over.
Uh-huh.
So it seems like that no matter what we're talking about, movies, music, any media, art, culture, or currency, cryptocurrency, sovereign currency, going to countries. At the end of the day, as big as you go, if I even go up to the level of a country, the US wants you to only shop into the US brands, and it doesn't want you to go over to Russia or Europe or whoever. And the end of the day, what we're talking about is control.
Mm-hmm. And I'll give you another one if you want to. Cord cutting. Remember a couple of years ago, what a great idea. Oh my God, how great would it be if I could cut the cord on my cable company? Get rid of the once and for all. Someday it's going to happen. You're going to have internet apps and you're just going to have an internet connection. So number one, you still got to keep the cable company because they're your pipeline to the internet, right?
That's how they stayed alive. Yes.
Number two, if you look at the packages, the internet only package versus the television and internet package are so close that you might as well, because they've raised the internet cost to compensate for it. And now every single streaming service has their own little chunk. So you have Netflix, you have Hulu. Now all of a sudden you've got Peacock, you've got Paramount Plus, you've got Disney Plus, you've got you $10, $5, $7, $9. By the time you're done, HBO Max, Showtime anytime. By the time you're done, it's just as much as the cable bill was anyway. Right. So,
yep.
So, there's, and I have to check myself because I have both. I have the full Fios package, and yet I'm subscribing to these individual apps. So why am I doing both? Okay, so I have the ability to watch live television and jump channels. Oh, great. There's an app to do that too. Guess what? $39.99 a month. Same as cable companies. So at the when it's all said and done, you're not really saving anything. You're not really like sticking it to the man. You're just taking money from one man and giving it to another, or using one man to get to the other man.
And you know what it is? It's that, like I called up recently and I was like, I'm spending too much money on my cable bill. Like maybe I'll get rid of it. And they know exactly where you're at. They know that you're like, I kind of want to get rid of you. And then they do everything they can to make it like, well, why do you want to get rid of it? Like, listen, you're paying $80 a month, for example, for, the ability to have internet, and we can ramp it up or ramp it down whenever you want. And your cable bill for all these channels is $50. And then you go, $50. Do I want all the cable for $50? And then you say, what do I get for the $50? And then they say, well, and this is what the lady said to me. She goes, what do you want? I was like, the only thing that I would want is this, 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 and this. I asked my wife. She says this, this, and this. I say, whatever. And she goes, okay, yeah, you're good for $50. It's in there. I said, what if I wanted this one? She goes, okay, do you want that channel? Yeah. Okay. And I'm like, they'll do anything they can just to hold me on that $50.
Yep. Yeah. But it's, the way the pricing is structured now is different than it used to be. It used to be for $20 a month, you get fast internet. And if you just wanted internet,
right,
$5 a month. But because of the cord cutting, they've raised the price so much. Granted, the speeds have increased incredibly. I have gigabit internet here, but the prices increased so much that that's why they have the triple play bundles, because if you break it apart, the internet is so expensive that the cord cutting doesn't make the sense that it made. So you to circle back to your main point, you've got these major behemoths controlling each and every aspect of our lives in different ways.
Right.
And they are the gatekeepers one way or another. So if I want to cut the cord and tell Fios, I don't need all your dumb cable channels, I'm going to cut your cord. They say, okay, you're still going to pay us the $80. Oh, wait, you wanted HBO? HBO Max is $20. We'll give it to you for $10.
The end of the day, the person who wins is the person who is providing the infrastructure for other things. If you're the root to the tree, you're the person that's going to stay around. Like you're saying, if you're the cable provider, you're running the infrastructure. You're Verizon with the towers. We have 5G now. Oh, don't use DirecTV or anybody else because they're really 5G towers. Whoever has the better infrastructure is going to win that war. Netflix has the platform for which to make movies, and besides popularity and the marketing and the money behind that. but like whoever has that foundation, that infrastructure is going to win every time. And yes, there's nothing that you can do. I mean, you can do something. You can say, look, again, mom and pop store, you can do this, but the convenience will always be a huge factor. Like you said, human beings love convenience. And I think that for every point of convenience, they have to level it out with 3 or 4 points against to fight against it, to say, you know what, that is convenient, but I want to do this. And I feel very, very strongly about supporting mom and pop stores. But how strong do you have to do? Maybe like 5 to 1? Because you really like, at the end of the day, I just want to get something really quick.
Yep. We are in the era where, even just in this conversation in the last episode we just did, there are 3 things that I've mentioned that I've purchased sight unseen. The iPhone. The iPhone's announced. We're all pre-ordering it. I don't know if I have the new one in my hand. I don't know what it looks like. Yeah, it's a new iPhone. I'm in. Order. Right. And that
you
was
trust the brand at that point.
I was telling you about the Steam Deck for gaming, Valve Steam Deck.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't put one in my hand. I ordered that thing seconds after they announced it. So we're even getting to that point where we're buying things that we haven't even seen.
We buy things that don't exist.
Don't even exist yet. When I ordered the Steam Deck, there was no existing Steam Deck other than the one that made the video. Like, only the ones in Valve. And it wasn't for another 6 months before anyone even got their hands on it. So, it's crazy that that's what the level of convenience and trust that we have in these larger companies, that we're willing to shell out $1,500, Steam Deck $700.
I would say that you probably, I would say that you probably could say that the market is based on, obviously, the conditions of being a human being. This sounds philosophical, but it's actually literally is what it is. Like we said, it's convenience. And what are we? We're also emotional. We're hopeful, and sometimes you make emotional buys. The fact that there is, the quick buy items in front of your face when you're standing at the counter because you're hungry and there's peanut M&Ms right there. And you're like, okay, I'm going to buy this really quick, put this on it also. Everything is designed for convenience. There's a giant movement on TikTok for any TikTokers out there that are trying to get people are trying to wake people up spiritually. They're trying to wake them up for nutrition. And they try to say, like, stop going to the McDonald's and all these fast food stuff because you have no idea what's in it. And meanwhile, you drive down that road, and the more I would listen, the more I woke up to it. I'm driving down and I go, Chili's, Applebee's, McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King.
Yep.
And I go, it is hard. You have to go out of your way. The 1 to 4 method, like I said, or 1 to 5 method I said before, is like, it's so much easier for me to just stop in and eat and then go than to say, no. I need to meal prep, make something at home. Let's eat right. Let's do it correctly. And the marketing world is trying to make it so easy for you to do those things that are easy to put some money in their pocket. And that's just the world we live in. That's Amazon's convenience. It's Netflix's convenience. It's the reality of the world.
Yeah. And just to further proof they try to take advantage of that is McDonald's had salads. So,
yes.
Right. So, and that was never the case, but people started wanting to, it was a movement to eat healthy. Hey, here's an Impossible Burger. Your original burger is impossible. Like, I don't know what's in there.
Right. You already have the Impossible Burger. Right. There's stories about they pull out a hamburger. It's been in storage for 24 years. They pull it out. The guy ate it. He's like, it's still good.
Yeah. What is that? Super Size Me, where the guy had a cheeseburger and French fries, and he just put them in this thing, and a month later they looked identical. Like, they didn't even decompose. Like, they look the same. Now, we're getting off on a tangent, but you have such a great point because, part of my job, I drive around a lot. I go from location to location sometimes. And there's so many times I'm on this initiative, man. I want to eat better. I got to, I want to eat healthier. I want to be, in better shape. But I'm going from meeting A to meeting B. I'm hungry. I have to eat something before meeting B.
Right.
There's those arches. Boom. Okay, good. I found something. Let me just eat.
Right.
This. It's like, it's very rare that we'll go, man, I really want McDonald's. Let me go get it. It's more like, yeah, we need to get something to eat. That is McDonald's. Let's grab that.
Yeah, and that's again, it's all because of the human condition. If you eat every day around 7 p.m., if you're not going to eat one day, your stomach's going to start getting hungry because it knows it's 7 p.m. That's how it is. When you see those arches every single time you pass it, and you think about your experience of being a kid and getting it, and your mom says, "If you're good, I'll take you to McDonald's." Then you go. That sticks with you, and it stays there forever. And think about it: the fact that you're going from A B in your job is because of time, right? So you'd rather value your time in the morning to sleep probably, or to be with your family, or maybe to eat something quick in the breakfast, which again is a quick meal, and then
Mhm.
you rush out. But the alternative would be, I'm going to wake up earlier. I'm going to make this meal. I'm going to prep it. But we don't want to do those things because we prioritize sleeping and eating and our enjoyment and our convenience. And the fact that you're out with no time traps you again back into the McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's trap. And there's nothing you can do unless you stop being emotional, stop being a human being for a second, which is not easy.
Yeah, and we're using the analogy of going. Forget that. DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub. We don't have to go.
Our last episode, when you hear my dog barking, is because of a DoorDash.
Yeah, there you go.
And I ordered food out, and that was convenient because I don't have to. I'm paying a little bit more, but I didn't have to cook it. And I have to go in. I have to give. I don't have to see the delivery driver. He just drops it off at the house, and it's great.
First,
So,
I was going to be, wow, I'm impressed that Zoe was able to order DoorDash by herself. She's hungry.
why it took a long time, but she learned, and she's a smart dog. So that's decentralization. I guess I'll talk about one more thing before we go. And yes, we're talking about it on the gaming point because we are mentioning other things. We're mentioning food. We're mentioning kind of like a very wide scope of things. But it applies to the way we live our lives and how much power we want, how much power we actually have, perceived power to actual power, or is perceived control to actual control. And it's a big conversation that we're not having enough, probably. And there's even something else that in a future episode, I'm going to talk about cryptocurrency even more. And cryptocurrency, I feel like is often somewhat understood, completely not understood, or some people are just really into it and they love it, they're passionate, and they do understand. But there's something coming out eventually called decentralized banking, which is interesting. And supposedly it's not built yet, but it's going to be built on the Flare network with the XRP. And I'm sure they'll do it for other places too. But the idea is that many people can come together and take their XRP. Let's say that you have 1,000 XRP and you put your XRP onto the decentralized platform. And therefore, people who need money can come along and borrow money, and you make a percentage like you're a bank. And in theory, every single person that puts their money, their XRP onto it, is a bank. So if that's, now we're in 2022. Say again?
It's a cool concept,
It
actually.
is. So we're before XRP has like its real launch, because ISO coins are coming out in November of 2022. That's XRP, XDC, Algo, XLM, and these coins are going to be officially used. And we don't know the future of that. So the time of this video will dictate what's going to happen. We're going to see what's going to happen. Who knows? But that's one of the premises they're talking about now, that a decentralized bank could be the way of the future. And it does put power back into the people, and that's again a vote for decentralization. So what's going to happen with our gaming, with our life, with the way we eat, with the way we act, our nutrition, our movie experience, listening to our music? Decentralization, I believe, is coming in a very big way. But I think that we're going to have these giants that are going to fight for power: Amazon, Meta, and then you have Elon Musk. That's supposedly he's battling for the right for a platform that can be free for everyone to voice your opinion, no matter what your affiliation is politically, or you want to talk about anything in your life, that it's not a problem. And if somebody doesn't want to listen to you, they can mute you or squelch you, and just don't listen to your stuff. Don't follow your page. So what's the future going to be like? I have no idea.
I know. I will tell you who I think is going to, quote unquote, ruin some of this crypto and do their own. The government.
Yeah. So 2024 Fed Now is coming out, and we're going to have the United States coin, whatever they're going to call it. And many people think that we may be backed by gold, and the whole system's going to change over. Coinbase, we know, is already in bed. It's insured. It's going to be pretty much like the platform to get your official cryptocurrency. It's watched, but there are also decentralized exchanges out there that people can still go on to. Some people want to say, oh, we should hide our money from the government. Some people are like, no, play ball with the government because you don't want to have a tax problem. So the government is involved. As XRP is being run everything, it's transparent, which means that they are involved. They know every single dollar you spend. This leads eventually to a cashless society where people, it's no longer like, oh, here's just $10 for doing this. That $10 is a credit. It is on the system that is given, and it can be found 10 years later and say, oh yeah, remember I see you gave $10 to Rob. That happened in 2022, and we can see it on the distributed ledger. So the government 100% is going to be involved, and they're going to have their own sovereign coin, and we're going to have all these other coins. And the question is, which we could talk about in a later episode, is like you're saying, how are they going to be involved and to what extent?
Yep.
And I have a lot I could talk about that, but we'll save that for another one.
For sure. But two quick things. Number one, you need to text me when a new coin is breaking, going on sale. You think it's going to be good instead of talking about it retroactively. That's number one.
I can tell you right now. I'll tell you right after this.
And number two, I never got you $10. So show me the proof.
No, you have to go to the ledger, buddy. Go check it out. So that is it, guys. That's decentralization. It's a fun talk. It's an interesting talk. It has to be a serious talk. It's one that we have to worry about and think about the future. What do you think about? What are your thoughts? Are you happy with the technology that's coming? Are you worried like we are about what's going to be in store for us? Let us know in the comments below. We always care what you think. We're always curious. And that's it, guys. I'm Tony Hanson, joined by Rob Sprance. This is Ready, Head, Set, Go, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.